Hello everyone, welcome back. In this episode of Bitcoin Trade, I'll go over some chart analysis here. It's been a while. I hope a lot of you have watched my video and enjoyed some of the accurate chart analysis. At least I feel it's pretty accurate. Anyways, I'm looking at Bitfin here on a 12-hour, and here's the reading on the other exchanges here. And if you notice, they're pretty darn close to par, more than it was before, when it was around here in this area, or as the prices were going up. Since then, it's been going down in price. They have been inversing back and forth, or even straight, almost par across the board on some of the exchanges. And so now you're kind of seeing some, I don't know what to call it. I mean, you call it normalization, but obviously, some exchanges are lower and some exchanges are typically higher. So you're starting to see that again. Now, what does it mean? I think there's a good chance that obviously the price has moved up. If you see here on this most recent candlestick, and that's probably some of the reasons. But I've noticed a big difference is that Bitstamp, Bitfin, and Hobu are starting to all reflect a more closer in price. It used to be just Bitfin was always higher at some point, but now they're all kind of very par, so it's kind of getting interesting here. And as far as on a peer-to-peer market, I am still noticing there is a change, or not a change, but I'm still noticing on a peer-to-peer level that the prices are still higher, and I think that's one of the reasons what's driving a lot of these large upswings here, this large candlestick moving up. Talking with some of the other traders, and I'm noticing that there's it must be on a peer-to-peer level a couple things. It must be harder to transact, and it's also getting harder to get Bitcoins. And between those two combinations, you're seeing a increase in price on the street level. I think that's going to be spilling over into the exchanges, just because from what I've seen, it seems to be that the street market is really determining the exchange market. And that being said, if that's the case, then seeing these demand go up, you're probably going to see more reflection of that. And so hopefully you've been watching and you've been enjoying the how can I say, the price going down, because as the price went down, it did definitely get easier to keep your gains in Bitcoin. And hopefully during this period you've been doing that, because it just spiked up on this day right here, um, which is kind of interesting because if you look at an hourly chart, what happened, there you have it. It was just flatline for a very, very long time, and then all of a sudden it just got a big push up. You'll see this in all the exchanges. Matter of fact, I think when I started to see it, it was happening on the other exchange. It was happening on Bitstamp before it was happening on Bitfin, and so that was kind of very interesting. And so, there's something going on here driving this price up. Now, if you see it on hourly, that it's really riding this 10-period average, and it's riding it up and down on this line here, which I'll back up. Basically, that line is from here to here, and it does go through here nicely, and you'll see that it kind of makes sense on why it just stopped right here. It just didn't burst out, go all the way to the 1,000 again. You'll see that this is a resistance here. Could be a really good it could be a really good chance of breaking through. A couple reasons is that well, it may not break through immediately. It may pull back a little bit, but one of the reasons is that it's this candlestick being a major up move, and on top of that, if you look closer, you can see within this 12-hour period that it went down and bounced off this 20 or 25 period average. And I'm sorry if I keep saying 20 or 25, because I'm not sure which period average. I think it's probably 25, but again, I'm not sure. In any case, this period average here, this weighted average, it bounced off of that and then pushed back up, or as you can see from the candlestick, it moved up that high, moved over, and then went down and then went back up, and but it's still a red candlestick. But in any case, it's bouncing off that, so it may bounce off that for a little while. But if I pull back further, and this is on a 12-hour, you'll see on a day that you don't quite see it until you move out a little bit further, and then you start seeing how this line starts to form, and you'll see some, you've probably seen this before. I pointed this out, but let's go back even further, and there you go. So you see this line here, and remember I made these two lines right here at this point. So really what you're getting is just a bigger version of this big, huge triangle here. And so this average has moved out of it. The 10-period average is moving into it. If you look here, you'll see this is a little bit of green showing here. Could be a really good potential. It's up and down right now. That's on a longer term. If you go to a 3-day term, you'll start to see that it is turning a little red here. But if you zoom in, I'm talking about the MACD here, that it looks slightly like it's starting to wane off a little, especially on this big green candlestick. It peaked out here, moving downwards slightly to the red, which would be the low right about here in this area. And now if 3 more days pass by and we can get a push up or at this level, it's kind of moving back up, and then you really start to see it on the 1 day where it starts turning a little bit right there. So on the 1 day, that's what it looks like. And so it's starting to kind of look, well, starting to look good. Starting to look like it has a really good chance of breaking out of this trend line right here. A large move up on the candlestick above this period average, hits up against it, not quite breaking through, but I anticipate some breaking through because um, I've been mentioning the 220, 225 area. Um, at some point, it actually went down to 216 on Bitstamp. It actually went down to 215, so I mentioned those two as a support, 220s to 215, and lo and behold, it did hold here, and now you got this large candlestick moving up. If it continues to move upwards, you know, I mentioned 250 being a good psychological barrier. If it does break through out of this line, look for 250, and then if it goes up beyond 250, you're probably looking at 270, which is also right around this price here on this candlestick. But look at around 270 being the next target pricing here. So if it works the way I think it's going to work, going upwards, you know, that's not a bad move. That's almost a $50 move. And if you've been buying your coins anywhere in here, 230 to 216, you know, this move upwards is really gonna help you out. And so that's my basic quick chart analysis. You know, you see a major move like this, and you're starting to see some lines come through that match up, and then other things are starting to happen. As far as the peer-to-peer market, a lot of things are happening. Like I said, things are getting squeezed. In some ways, you could say that there's people that have been squeezed out of the market due to transacting. Also, not being able to get bitcoins is another reason. So as the open market starts to dry up, I think there's no other way to get bitcoins than through some kind of an exchange, because as it gets difficult on a peer-to-peer level, what choice do you have? So it's probably going to drive a lot of these exchange prices to go back up again. So with that being said, it's starting to look like a price advance starting to look. I've been taking the strategy of trying to keep as much gains as I can in Bitcoin, mainly because it's so much easier to keep your gains in Bitcoin, and you know, around 230 to 215, somewhere around that price range. That's kind of what I've been doing, and I may continue to do so, because if I play right, and as the momentum going upward starts to really accelerate, I'm going to try to, you know, take advantage of that movement upwards and keep my gains in Bitcoin as it's moving up. It does a couple things. It first of all, it really helps you make a gain, and second, it helps push the price up. It you know, the momentum, it keeps pushing that momentum upwards, and you know, that's kind of what you want to do. The same scenario when the price goes down, you know, you're I guess you could say shorting, but when it goes the other way, you want to go long. And if you play the market right, you can really take advantage of that movement. So as the price goes up, you're riding that momentum. You're also helping push that momentum. And at some point, it does get exhausted, but that's when you got to make the decision how much you want to keep your gains. For me, it's really important to keep a certain amount in Bitcoin, because without any Bitcoins, for me, at least for me, without any Bitcoins, I couldn't do a lot of the type of trades that I'm doing now if I had no Bitcoins at all. By having a certain amount of Bitcoins, I'm able to do a lot of things. I'm able to perform a lot of different kinds of trades, a lot of strategies with my trades. So it's just a question of how much of those Bitcoins do I want to let go on a trade. And at these lower prices, it's hard to let go. If the prices were like $1 million, it's somewhat easier to let go, because especially if you got them at a lower price, a lot lower price, it's easy to let go. You want to make your gain. But again, long-term wise, if you have a long-term strategy, it's a lot easier at these prices. And I think these prices are really, really low. If it went lower, that's even better. But I don't know how much lower it can go, because it's what I've noticed is it's harder to get Bitcoins. It's been harder to get Bitcoins. It really has. Maybe for some people it's really easy. I've been fortunate enough to get Bitcoins when I can, but I'm also realizing that it's been getting harder to get them. I noticed that with some of the market pricing, the street market pricing. I've been noticing that from other traders, other miners as well, and from other buyers. So with all that, it's getting, I guess it's getting more difficult in actually acquiring Bitcoins, both through trading and mining, because mining will always be more difficult as time goes on. And eventually we're getting to the point where the amount of Bitcoins that are going to be created through mining is going to be less. We're almost at that point. I wouldn't say almost at that point, but eventually it's going to hit the market. Eventually it's going to hit the market where you're getting half less of what you had before. And when that happens, that's probably when you're going to really see the price action really move upwards. So if you're going to wait it out, if your long term is about another 2 to 3 years, that's probably the most ideal long-term kind of framework. If you have that kind of patience and you're willing to trade, I mean, you can still trade, you can still make your money, but if you're willing to keep majority of your gains in Bitcoin and then do that for 2 to 3 years, you don't have to constantly do that, but if you really stay disciplined with your strategy and your plan, I think it's going to really pay off, because it's just going to get harder and harder to acquire Bitcoins. And as the price goes up, I think it's going to really be more demanding on how much you want to let go and how much you want to keep. Anyways, I hope this helps. Feel free to comment, like, dislike, even leave a video response. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye.